All right, are we ready?
Yes.
Maya? Okay.
I'm here.
In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Look at you. You made it to another episode of We Did That Shit podcast, where we talk about who did some shit, how we got through some shit, and what we learned from shit.
I'm Maya.
And I'm Bibbi. Podcast family, we appreciate your support. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If you like what you hear, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and tell us what you think. We're on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at We Did That Shit. Hey, Maya.
Hey.
What's
Hey.
poppin'? That's what the kids say. What's poppin'?
Do they say what's popping? Because the
Yes.
slang changes. Like,
Does it?
I say what's good.
I know. But, Lex and them be like, it's poppin'. What's poppin'? It's poppin'.
Yeah.
Everything is poppin' to them.
So what's going on? How was your week?
Girl, Donald Trump got my number. Got a
Oh,
bullshit.
my goodness. I told my friends today, I said, the next thing you know, and this is no exaggeration, you know how I say Virginia charges you for everything, like next they'll be charging you for air to breathe?
Mm-hmm.
The government literally is going to be putting chips in us if they haven't already done it. When you talk on your phone, ads pop up out of nowhere based off of what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
When you go on a Google website, forget about it. And now we got the president talking, so we got to hear him. Like, what? I didn't pay attention to what it means. Do we have to hear him just come through our phone or what?
Allegedly, it was a test of the broadcast system so that they could contact people in case of an emergency, natural disaster, invasion,
What kind of
or whatever like that.
Contact me in case of an emergency.
Yeah,
what kind of emergency?
Like
evacuate your home because it's about to be a hurricane tomorrow,
or foreign invaders or anything like that. And I told him what I tell everybody else: don't call me. I'm at work.
Exactly.
I'm at work. I'll take my chances with the invasion. Don't call me.
An invasion would be better than him.
Exactly. You are an invasion that I wanted to avoid, but I couldn't. So yeah, I'll take my chances. But other than that, same old, same old. It's October 1st. I really got to get to the grind. Got things to do. Trying to be progressive. Oh my goodness. I think I have a date.
Woo.
Yeah.
What did I tell you the other day? What did I tell you the other day?
Say yes to all dates.
I'm saying yes to all dates. I listened back to that Standard show that we did on last week, episode 35. If you have not checked that out, check that out. And I was like, doing bad in these streets. I'm saying yes to all dates. My ex-boyfriend dumped me again.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah. Well, let's not go into it,
I can't, but I said yes to the date because we said we were saying yes to all dates. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then, but I said yes. And this is a true story. This is serious.
Go on a date.
I said yes and was like, I got all week to come up with an excuse. It wasn't even nothing. Just as fast as I said yes, I was like, you got all week to come up with an excuse. You can come up with something really good. But then the other day, I talked to him again, and he was like, he was talking about his week and everything, and he was like, I got to do this and this, this and this. And he was like, and I took off. I canceled all my plans for Saturday because I'm taking my girl out on a date. I was like, So now
say yes to all dates.
So I feel like I can't cancel because I thought that was, people changing plans. That'd be ignorant as hell.
First of all, if not for nothing, go on a date because next week's show, boy, is going to be good. You want to tune into that, people, to hear about this date. So, if not for nothing, go on a date to give us good material.
Okay, well, how was your week?
My week was I noticed the theme in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we're recording the podcast, every week, my week is stressful. Every damn week, it's like, yeah, I had a stressful week. Damn, my week was stressful. My week was stressful. It's like, damn, bitch. I mean, you ain't got no happy moments going on. But this was another stressful week.
Oh,
I can't even hold you. It was stressful.
I feel like that's how it was with my job, week after week after week. So I know so because I lived it, I know it's going to get better. It's going to get better for you.
When nobody's coming up to me telling me how much it's going to get better. But that was last week.
You got pretty feet, but it's going to get better.
Old stuff. No, but you know what? Other than the news that I heard, I got some really crazy news this week, but I'm keeping it in prayer. And it's about friends and families' health, and we just keeping it in prayer that things will be looking up soon.
That's right.
And health is truly wealth. We talked about that in an episode, and I just want to reiterate that health is truly wealth. So we really have to take care of ourselves. And other than that, something funny happened. I met somebody.
Oh.
And you want to know the funny thing that happened? Or it was funny that I met somebody, but the funniest thing was he smoked cigs.
No! Come on!
You know how I found out that he smoked cigs? Because he was like, it's just the time that we live in. He said, what was the IG, right? So I'm like, I don't have no IG, but follow the show, because the show's IG needs followers. Follow us, you know? And so I gave him the show's IG. I said, it's really used for the show, but it's some pictures on there or whatever.
Right.
So he followed us, and I follow him back. So I'm scrolling through his picture. Handsome guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scrolling through his pictures or whatever. I seen a pack of Newies.
It's an epidemic. No.
So I'm like, is that a pack of Newies? Okay, maybe he just taking a picture of and somebody else is smoking Newies. Who knows? Then I see another picture, scroll on down, and it's another pack of Newies. I'm like, okay. Then the last picture that I looked at, he had the Newie in his hand. So you want to take a picture with the Newie? So I'm like, I text him you smoke cigarettes?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And I said, you trying to quit?
Right.
He was like, I take it I'll be asked to. And I said, listen,
no, you won't. But that's a deal breaker for me, baby.
Do what's best for you. However,
no.
I don't like cigs, So he's like, just talking I guess
saying
how people say just
saying I don't like cigs is not enough.
Nah,
yeah.
I'm trying to quit this, that, and the third. I said, yeah, smoke weed, don't smoke cigs.
Right. Right.
And so he said,
when you say it like that, that's not, you gotta say it's a deal breaker. Because
first of all, listen. He, like I said, and let's wrap this up, but like I said, he's a handsome guy. However, the cigs took him down so many notches.
Oh, so it's not a deal breaker for you?
No, it is a deal breaker for me. So here's the thing. We talked about our standards, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about how physical attraction is a lot for me. You know what I'm saying? Yes, certain things are cosmetic, as my mom said. However, I don't know if you have a nice personality from across the room.
Mm-hmm. So
being that physical attraction is a big deal for me, the cigs took you down notches. So now I'm just looking at you like, I don't even really see handsome. I see cigs.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, but if you don't say, I feel like if you're not emphatic that it is a deal breaker, you saying, I smoke weed instead is I still got a chance. And I want to be me for myself. I want to be very clear. I don't care if you Dapper Don. I don't care what you do great. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care. Cigarettes are a deal breaker. I'm not dating anyone who smokes. I'm not getting in your car. I'm not coming to your house. I don't want you around me. I don't want you to go outside and smoke. I hate cigarettes. And it's a deal breaker. You know, and I'm like, damn, he look good, but oh well. Damn, he rich, but oh well. Because I'm not going to be around cigarettes. I'm not.
Right.
But if you don't, but you saying it like,
Well, you know why I'm saying it like, because that's just how I am. I say everything is like, whatever. I might not never see him again.
Oh my gosh, exactly. Never mind. Because
I'm just saying, you know how I am.
That's the 10-year before we go on a date plan. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So, like, does it matter that he smokes cigs?
No.
Okay. But anyway, so I say all of that to say my week was stressful, but it ended up interesting with the SIG news. In the meeting someone. I'll keep you posted on that. But listen, who did some shit this week?
Okay, so I have a who did some shit. It's about a white police officer out of, I think it's Jackson, Georgia. And she was sentenced to 15 years in prison. What she did was, while she was on duty, the article doesn't really say for sure what happened, but she must have shot herself 3 times. But she claimed that a black man shot her.
Where did she shoot herself at? Like
in her leg. In her leg. She shot herself 3.
She shot herself 3 times.
Okay, so was
she trying to get disability? Like,
yes. She was trying to get PTSD or disability or something like that. And they said the ballistics from the casings that were found, 2 came from her issued gun that she carries in her holster, and the other one came from that, like, the weapon that they have, like, at home, or off-duty weapon, but it was still registered to her. So it was only 3 casings found. 2 was from her department issued, and 1 was from her issued or whatever. But so what the prosecutor is saying is that she wasted. First of all, she wasted all this time and tax dollars having these Georgia officers looking for a black male, 6'2", average build, in a white car or whatever. And they were looking and looking and looking, all the investigation time, the lies. She was on the news, Good Morning America, all this other kind of stuff. And she made up the whole thing. So she's going to prison for 15 years now. And of course, her family and her attorney is saying, you know, that's harsh. She shouldn't go to prison for all that time. And she really didn't mean any harm and all that. Yes, shut the hell up. That's what you get. And then even after she does her time, she has 23 years probation. So she'll be on probation for like ever. And
this is a very interesting story because it happened in Georgia. And the fact that Georgia gave a white woman 15 years in prison for something like this,
right,
for lying on a make-believe black man, is very interesting to me, because I would never think that something like that would happen in Georgia. I would think that they would push that under the rug, like, oh, she made it up, oh, okay. The second thing about this story is homegirl ain't think this through. She really just was like, oh, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Like, I'm tired of this job, they stressing me out,
right,
I'm on disability, and this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
Because how long was she... Does it tell you how long she was a cop?
No.
Prior to her?
No.
Okay. Because I'm thinking,
but I'm sure it's somewhere.
Even if you was a cop for 2 minutes,
right?
And you had to go through the academy, meaning that they taught you about bullet ballistics. So if they taught you about bullet ballistics, your right mind would tell you, don't use your gun because it'll match up to the bullet ballistics. So she must have really just been at her wit's end to say, I'm going all out for the gun, so I'm shooting myself, first of all. I might bust an artery and die, but I know if I blame it on a black man in Georgia, that I'm going out on disability and random black men are getting attacked at every stop.
Yeah, it doesn't say how long she was a police officer, but it does say that she says she was shot by a 6 foot, 230-pound black man who was wearing a green shirt and black jogging pants. And she claimed that the man pulled out a gun and shot her for no reason, and the bullets were found in her protective vest. You know, her account sparked a manhunt for days. It struck a fear of unrest in the community. Every man who resembled the description was being pulled over. You know, and then this is what the police chief said. She did a great job for us up until last night. What? So we didn't see this coming. But this was not a mistake. It was a conscious decision and a choreographed act. Okay, it does say. Oh, are you ready for this? At the time, Hall, her last name is Hall. Hall was on the Jackson police force for about 3 months. 3 months.
Get out of here. By any means necessary.
She was a cop for 3 months.
I mean, listen, it's just like the cop who killed the boy in Pittsburgh, who was a cop. He was sworn in for 30 minutes, and after 30 minutes, he shot that boy in his back, and the boy died. And the thing is like, we're making light of the situation because this shit is crazy and funny, but the fact that random black men had to deal with something like this based off of something that this woman just came up with, and in her mind she thought and knew that this would be it. Like, she can make this up about a black person, and this is what would sell. Because no way was she going to say, "Oh, a white man attacked me for no reason," and then all of this outrage and across country manhunt was going to happen. She knew exactly what she was doing, and so bravo for you, Georgia. If we never say good job for anything else, we can at least say good job for this. You wanted to be out of the work, you are. You know, so good job. You did good for yourself.
She did.
You know what I mean?
So who else did some shit? It's not funny too. That's ignorant, but I don't care. Who else did some shit?
Yeah, I mean, shit. You had there your PS. If you ain't gonna have PSTD, you damn sure gonna have it now. Which while you sitting in jail. And you a cop, and you know what people do to people, cops in jail. So I just had an honorable mention of who did some shit, and then I'll tell you about my real who did some shit. Okay. The honorable mention of who did some shit was, speaking of Hall. Did you see that Pooch Hall? Played Derwin on The Game.
What are you doing? Derwin is on the Ray Donovan show now, right? It's like a cable show. He
actually left The Game so that he could be. Because you remember when Melanie and Derwin wasn't on The Game anymore when he came back to BET.
Right.
He left that to do the show Ray Donovan on Showtime.
Well, they left. They left because they wanted more money.
Right, but then he got the opportunity to do the Ray Donovan show, so it worked out for him. But Pooch Hall, you know what? This goes to show you that we really buy into characters.
Because Derwin was dumb as hell. Yes.
Derwin would never do this, though. Derwin was a nice, wholesome man who was taking care of him and Janae's baby. You know, he wasn't into this. Now Pooch Hall is on coke, getting arrested for DUIs, and letting his baby drive him home from wherever he was at. I don't know. His baby's 3 years old. Pooch Hall is out here living reckless.
I can't. Derwin, I can't with Derwin. Yeah. In my mind, you know how when you young and your mom and dad put you on their lap to drive? In my mind, that has to be what happened, because my mind just won't let me believe anything else. Like, it was a misunderstanding, and he put the baby on his lap.
It wasn't a misunderstanding.
I know, but I'm just saying.
You drove when you was 3 years old and got into an accident. So you know, I don't want to bring up old stuff.
I'm saying, I was all the way down the block. Everybody was safe except the one that jumped out the car. I ain't had nothing to do with that.
So you know that a 3-year-old driving is not unheard of, is all I'm saying. So Pooch Hall, get help, sweetheart.
Get help.
You know, stop letting us down, because I'm thinking that you Derwin. My other who did some shit is just like something that's been on my mind for quite some time. And that is gentrification. So this past this past couple of weeks, I was out and about, and I live next to DC,
right?
And so I went over to DC to meet up with my nephew and have some drinks, and then meet up with some friends. And I was just looking around, and I said, "Damn, I was in a neighborhood that shouldn't have been filled with white women walking down the street in yoga pants, drinking a latte, walking a dog."
Okay, so you were in Georgetown. You were in...
No, I was not in Georgetown.
Okay.
I was like in Southeast.
Southeast. I was about to say Southeast.
And I was looking around at DC, and I said, I remember the days when I was young, and I used to go to DC to party when I was in college, and it truly was Chocolate City. And when I saw those women walking around with them little ass dogs and them coffee cups in their hand, and just like walking like they was just in La La Land, when Washington D.C. used to be on the list of the most dangerous cities in America, it just was mind-boggling to me, and it really made me think hard and long about gentrification and where we have come with gentrification. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that topic today on the podcast.
Okay, well, I live in a city that's being gentrified, and I do. So, I mean, let's just start at the beginning, because people talk about gentrification, and I know a lot of people have heard about gentrification, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of times we don't ask questions, so we really don't know what gentrification is. So let me just say what gentrification is. So the definition of gentrification is the process of improving a house or district so that it conforms with the middle class, or the process of making a person or activity more refined or polite. Because, like, they're trying to, let's use tennis as an example. They can say that they're going to gentrify tennis because all of this stuff that they're throwing at Serena Williams with the clothes that she wears, and they're going to make it a rule that you can't do this and do that or whatever. That's gentrification. When you're saying something is not refined or polished or up to a certain class. So where did gentrification come from? Because, it's a new term. It's a fairly new term, but it's not new at all. So, like, in history, and that's why, and we say this all the time, a lot of things that happen to Black people in America dates back to slavery. So it's important to know the history. But historians actually have traced gentrification back to ancient Rome at about 3 AD. And the word gentry is an old French word from gentris. And if you type gentris into a Word document, it's going to come up as a typo. That's how old the word is. But gentris, the meaning of it of gentle birth. And it's the same word that we get the word gentleman from. So in England, there's a social class called landed gentry. So it was a group of like polished people, so the term gentrification was first coined by a sociologist. Her name was Ruth Glass, and she published a research study that described the influx of middle-class people displacing lower-class working people in urban areas of London. So that's like the background of gentrification. But then when you bring it across the water to the United States, here we go. The home of capitalism, the rich get richer, take advantage of the poor, things like that. But it's important to know the history and to make an educated decision about what's best for you and your family. Because like when slavery ended, Black people still lived on plantations or farms because that was the trade that they knew. That's what they knew how to do. They knew how to take care of land. They knew how to take care of animals. So when they worked, that's the kind of work they did. Now, some went north and were able to take advantage of the industrialization. So we have like rural and suburban blacks that stayed with the farming and agriculture. And then we have the city blacks who were able to take advantage of the industrialization and work in plants and factories and things like that. Now, the city blacks, they lived in the city close to the plants, but that's because it was so dangerous to live there. There was pollution, a whole lot of noise, not good land, things like that. So it wasn't like they were living in the city and it was a great place to live. No. And then, urban ghettos emerged where, rent control and public housing was appealing to black people. It gave them a safe structure, place to live. We have to remember that jobs for black people and still do pay much less. Most of their jobs were domestic capacities and things like that. So there were more job opportunities in the city because even if you didn't work in a factory, or if you did work in a factory, your wife can get a job as a maid or something like that. So you can make a little more money. And then so some families would save their money and they would buy a house, but they usually bought a house in the same city close to that rent control area because they were a community.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was appealing. And then the United States, as with everything else they do, here comes the capitalism. Whoever has the money can buy up all the property as they will. And they buy it, they flip it, they rent them out, they live in them, they do whatever they want to do. Hence, most times the product of gentrification is displacement of the poor and disenfranchised. So that is what gentrification is in a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
They're displacing the poor and disenfranchised, and we are seeing it everywhere.
We are seeing it everywhere. And what is just the most mind-boggling thing about gentrification to me is you created these areas. You just spoke about it.
Right.
Urban ghettos emerged.
Right.
You created these places. You created this rent control for people. You created this, place where you basically dumped people, because that's all, like you said, that they could afford. And then you zoned them in with traffic and things of that nature. And so you created the places for the people, but then in turn, now you say, oh no, that place looks appealing to me.
Right.
I'm going and Z to this place. And so there you have the disenfranchised of poor people. And it's like when you take poor people out of where they have known, where they can afford, where do you put them? Obviously, when they're thinking about coming in and gentrifying the area, they don't think about that, But it's just a shame, and we see it so many times. Even like you said, you're now living in a gentrified area because your area is definitely gentrified. You live in Society Hill. Now, that is a part of
I still live in Camden.
No, you live in Camden, New Jersey, but let's be real. That is a place where people are walking around, walking dogs with a latte in their hand and yoga pants.
That's my neighbor.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
And so even for the people who used to live in the area that you lived in, when they tore down their homes, they come in and they offer people these low prices for their house. And you talked about educating oneself, on your area. And I think let's dive into that because that's important to educate yourself on what gentrification is.
Right.
And what people are doing in these areas as far as when they come in and they gentrify them. Like you talked about the history of it, but let's dive into that a little bit more, educating yourself.
Oh, so first of all, you need to know what gentrification looks like. What does gentrification look like? Coffee shops.
Yep.
Or
That's a tall tale sign.
Or non-ethnic eateries.
Right.
We don't have Baines Deli in the hood. we got bodegas. Right. You know what I mean? Exactly. So if you see a coffee shop, even if it's a no frills coffee shop, you know, brewmaster, like who's putting in a coffee shop? Who's really going in these coffee shops and drinking coffee? Your rent goes up. You know, your rent goes up significantly. And when you start to see businesses close, or one of the, and my daughter did her master's thesis on charter schools, because the education system is one of the big things that you can look at. And it's harder because it's funny because I still live in Camden. When I first of all, I lived in Camden pretty much my whole life, but my children never went to Camden schools. And when I'm gonna just say this. When I went to the Camden High School, Castle on the Hill, hey.
That's now torn down.
Stop hating. They hater. It's that gentrification. They're haters. But that's a story for another day. So when I went to the Camden High School, we had great teachers. We had teachers that you know, coaches that could get you into college. We had science teachers that could get you into college. You got a good education. You know, I went to college in the EOF program. That's because I didn't graduate. That's a story for another day.
That's because we ain't have no money.
But when I went to school, there were 3 people from Camden High that went to the college that I went to, and none of us had to take what do y'all call them? The remedial classes, the 099s. You know, the classes that you don't get credit for. You know, right. Well, none of us had to take those classes. We were cool, you know. But I did see the education system, good teachers leaving, and the quality of education going down. Teachers having to deal with more psychosocial issues in the classroom. How can you teach under those environments? And I just felt like, and you know, Jiggy has special needs, and I'm just thinking like, you know, you can't do anything with the children that allegedly don't have special needs. Like, what are you going to do for my son? So, you know, so the girl went to Christian school, and I actually sued successfully, and we'll definitely talk about that, the Board of Education, so that my son went to a private school for the handicapped.
Right. And so you talk about charter education, do another show on charter schools and just on the educational system.
Right.
Because charter schools to me are a double-edged sword. While they do, you know, I feel like, okay, when you see them coming into the community, it's a sign of gentrification, and you're like, oh,
it's
things
a
are changing.
Definite sign.
But then you know,
It's a definite sign. Yes, go ahead.
No, it is a definite sign. And so that goes to show you that our own neighborhood is being gentrified, because there are charter schools everywhere. I've never seen so many charter schools in Camden. And the fact that they're tearing down other schools and putting up these charter schools. And like I said, charter schools to me are a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, it's like, okay, our neighborhood is changing. But then on the other hand, when you think about public schools, they're not equipped in our city. I can't speak for other cities to handle they're not equipped.
They're not, but see,
teachers leave.
Right. And what happens with this whole charter school, we should save this for another day, but charter schools aren't better. But the thing that about the gentrification, I'm not saying that charter schools are better, but what I am saying, we'll save that for another topic, because that's. But how it relates to gentrification is most of the gentrifiers are young, so they don't even have children. They don't even have children. You know what I mean? They got Yorkies. And, you know what I mean? So, and then the few that do have children, or if they start a family and stay there, they use school choice, school vouchers, go to private schools, you know, things like that. So they're not affected by the school system, so they could care less. Right. You know what I mean? So that's why your school system is a telltale sign. If you have more charter schools going up and your public school system is getting worse, that's a telltale sign that gentrification is coming.
Another telltale sign of gentrification is police presence.
Girl, they everywhere, ain't they? Trying to act like they part of the community, they your friend and your neighbor. Yeah, no. Cop cars parked everywhere, even if they're not occupied. Like, yes, that is a big sign. Right. You are absolutely right about that. You're right. And this is the thing, and this is how I knew. I went to my little part-time job at the hospital here in the city, and they got bike lanes. What? Girl, they got bike lanes.
No, seriously?
I was just yes, because like after I eat, I take a walk around the facility and everything, because it is a nice little walk, get your digestive system moving and everything. And I just sat there and I stared at Neb, and they were like, what?
When did we get bike lanes? I've never seen, but you know what? We should have known that it was coming when we saw those signs that they are now renting bikes. You know how you go to the major cities, so you go to Philadelphia, you go to Washington, D.C., and you can go and you can rent a bike, and it's kind of like you could take a tour around the city on a bike, or like you were in a Segway or something like that. It's the same. They have that in downtown Camden now, which is, so when I don't live in Camden anymore, but when I was home, was talking to my mom, and she was saying the thing about the bike. I said, in Camden?
Yeah.
She said, yeah. I said, well, so they ain't scared somebody going to steal the bikes?
Right. No,
if I get a bike and I go, I don't have to come back.
No, you don't. You just leave them anywhere, but they turn off. Like they lock from some kind of system. They won't move after your time is up or something. But people were using credit cards and they had warrants and people was finding them. It was a mess. I haven't seen those bikes in a couple months. The big
probably won't see them in the next couple of months. But no, things like that in cities where people used to be scared to come in are signs of gentrification. Gentrification. It just makes me very angry. And it's not just because it's like, oh, white people are invading our neighborhoods. It's not just because of that. It's just because of what you said earlier, disenfranchised people. It's like when you have projects, when we go to New Orleans every year and we talk about how Hurricane Katrina happened, and then all of those people were displaced out of the projects, even though when you ride by the projects in New Orleans, they are literally still standing. They're not broke down. They stood the water, but it was a way for them to get all of those poor people out, so that they could do what they wanted to do with that land. And how they went in, and I'm using Hurricane Katrina as an example. And I think that you was even telling me a story about your father and his grandparents' land, but how they went and they stole people's houses from up under them because they made it seem like, oh, well, your house is not this property is not, so. And did you want to touch on the story that you told me that your
it was funny because right before we were about to record, my dad called and I told him, we're about to record the podcast, and I told him the topic this week was gentrification. And we talked about it a little bit, and it was, when I say a little bit, I mean maybe 10 seconds. And I said something and he just went bananas. And he was talking about, he was still very upset, still, very, very affected by it. But he was saying that his grandparents owned a home, anything down, past 2nd and Atlantic. His grandparents owned a home, and the city bought their house, but they were telling them we're going to do this with the land, the land is bad, you might as well just sell us the house and we're going to do this and fix it and all this kind of stuff. And that was in the 1960s, and still to this day that area is vacant. Nothing, they just wanted to get the black people out, and they have not done anything to that area. And he was lying crooks and all that stuff, but he was still very, very passionate, like it happened yesterday, to his grandparents.
That is something to be passionate about, that you come in and you actually steal people's homes. I know that back in the I don't know, it must have been like the 40s or the 50s or something, when they had, and they still do have, specific neighborhoods that they don't want black people in. How they were not letting you in, not letting you buy a house, or if you did buy a house in that neighborhood, how it was so significant that they would do everything that they could, burning crosses in your lawn, anything, just to get you and your family out of that area. And that was after segregation was over, and that we were able to now go into these areas. And I think back to that time either, because I think about segregation a lot. And when I think about gentrification, it always brings me to segregation.
Right.
Because I'm always like, back in the days of community, when we had community,
right,
what would have happened if we stuck by that? If
that
we were
is
able
that
to stick,
yes,
you know, like
yes,
in our own communities,
yes,
have our own stores,
yes,
and it's mind-boggling to me, because it makes me think about Black Wall Street, right?
Yes.
Or so how we, you know, created this town, and we had everything for ourselves, our own banks, our own stores, our own everything.
Right.
And then you come and you don't want to be with us,
right,
but you don't want us to have anything.
Right.
So then they bomb those people, you know. But just thinking about what we could have been as Black people had we stayed with community.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How we wouldn't have had to worry about gentrification, because we would have had our own gentrified areas. If gentrification is what you said the definition of is more refined or more polished, whatever,
and that's exactly right.
Polished areas,
exactly,
in our own refined areas,
exactly.
You know?
So
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No,
because I really because I really want to get into our own. But before we get there, I want to talk about. So I looked up. I was trying to find like most gentrified areas or whatever, but the top neighborhoods that have fell victim and or benefited by, you know, however some people look at it, gentrification, are in these 5 cities. So Los Angeles, and the zip code is 90014. If you're listening and you're from 90014, hit us up on social media. Let us know what the gentrification looks like. You know, if you were there when it was your good old-fashioned neighborhood and you're still there through the gentrification, or if you've been pushed out, and that's for any zip code I'm about to list. So 90014 is a neighborhood in Los Angeles that has been gentrified. In Washington, D.C., 20001. In Houston, Texas, 77003. In Philadelphia, 19123. Now I think that's Brewery Town. Or that's like a North North Philly, close to Brewery Town zip code.
You know, North Philly is like driving through Fishtown and
Brewery Town and all that. Yeah.
It's like driving through a whole different area.
Philadelphia has 2. Philadelphia has 2, 19123 and 19146. I think 19146 is West Philly, and they have some beautiful homes in West Philly. And New York has 3, 11211, 11222, 11216. Now I'm sure one of them is Brooklyn and one of them is Harlem. I'm sure of it.
One of them is 100% Brooklyn. It's a totally different area.
Yes. So if anybody's listening and they're from any of those zip codes, or they know about the gentrification, hit us up on our social media and, you know, just let us know what's going on. Join in the conversation. But I want to get back to what Maya was talking about, because to me, it's not enough to just know about it. I mean, it's important to know the history, whatever, but I want to try, even if it's one person, I want to try to empower somebody to do something to stop gentrification. Now, it's okay to have improvements, but it's not okay to push out the poor and disenfranchised. And this was the question that I posed. Whose problem is it that the rent goes up and Miss Sue can't afford the rent? You know, remember like on Barbershop, the movie? When he was like, I thought you owned this place. And she was like, I lived here 20 years. It's my place, you know.
Right.
But who's to say, who's responsible for that person being able to pay and to keep up? So I did come up with a list, you know. These are things that, you know, we talked about what you can do. And one thing is, the number one thing is take care of your property. Right. Whether you're a renter or an owner, or it's where you live. Keep it up. You know, I remember my aunt lived in the city and she lived on a corner property and she was a renter And she said, and you know, people used to try to hang out on that corner and everything. And she'd be like, not here. No, we don't do that here. No, no, you ain't gonna stay in here. You know, and for years she lived in that house, and for years she stopped. Nobody ever hung on that corner. So if it's where you live, take pride in where you live. You know what I mean? Take some pride in where you live. Take care of your property.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. Even when, you know, my mom has moved from Camden after living there all her life, and she's been out of Camden for 1 year. When we were in the hood the other day, and I was riding by our old house, and I'm like, man, what happened? Because when we lived there, it looked like a totally different place now, you know, because when we lived there, of course, my mom kept up the property. Nobody, just like you said, hung out. You know, I was quick to go outside like,
right.
We ain't having that around here. Y'all better take that up the street, do what you want to do, but you ain't going to do it at 898. No. So yes, I agree. Take care of your property, no matter if you own or if you rent. It is a reflection of you, and never forget that.
Right. It's also this is my personal belief or whatever. Educate yourself. Like when the saying is, when you know better, do better. You know, even if you're generations in the projects. You know, somebody's going to go to college. Somebody's going to get a decent job. A lot of cities and neighborhoods have organizations where they have learn about the mortgage program, you know, how to get a mortgage. And some of them, if you finish the classes, they'll do matching if you save for your closing costs and things like that. So you can learn about home ownership and what you can do to get out of a renting situation into an ownership situation. So I do believe that the more you educate yourself about your community, and, you know, if you get an opportunity, and I don't believe that, you know, the American dream is landing a home or whatever, because buying a house is a lot of responsibility. But it just it gives you more power in what can happen in your house, in your neighborhood, your street. It gives you more power. So educate yourself to do better. Educate yourself to do better. Go ahead.
And speaking of educating yourself, please educate yourself, because I know someone who right now, speaking of Washington D.C. being on that list, who has lost their family home, and not lost it in the way of someone came and took it out from under them, lost it to dollar signs. They got so greedy with dollar signs, and not knowing that you own a prime property in Capitol Hill. This property had been in their family for over, probably 70 years, you know, and now that the area has been gentrified, people are coming in. All of their neighbors have sold, right? All of their neighbors. And they're selling because you think, oh, I'm getting $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. But you're not getting $1 million in your hand.
Right.
And that in yourself, because if you knew, first of all, the people are coming in, they're buying the houses for next to nothing. They're offering you $50,000 or something they could get $2.5 million from, you know, now. And you're taking, all you see is dollar signs, and you saying, oh, $50,000, you know what I could do with that? And then you are giving them in turn your history, you know. And it's like he said, if you educated yourself to know, don't sell your family's bloodline, your history. Exactly. And if you are going to sell, hold out for the big bucks. Don't take the first thing that is, you know, because you get a lot of older people who, you know, have been in a home, they want to downsize or whatever. But if you have people around you, or you yourself can educate yourself, then you would know that this penny on the dollar that they're trying to give you is it's not enough. And don't give up your history. Not give up your history.
But I think a big part of that, and I'm gonna like kind of bundle my last point with how to stop gentrification. I think a big part of that is that people are always looking at the dollars. You know, they're always looking at the dollars. If you really want to protect something, you know, if something means something to you, anything worth having is a sacrifice. You know, so there are things that if you want to prevent the misplacement of poor and disenfranchised, if your city is being gentrified, you need to resolve that you're going to have to take time that you're not going to get paid for. It's volunteer time. You have to take time to educate yourself, get involved with, you don't have to be in politics, but go to the city hall meetings, learn about zoning, protect senior homeowners. There's such things called stabilization vouchers, and they give them to people who are 55 now who own their home, so that if gentrification is coming, they have something to keep them stable. Because the fact of the matter is, everybody's going to die eventually. You know what I mean? But at least they can live out their years in their home. And if a family member is not
for your legacy,
right, but even if a family member, because families aren't close anymore, you know what I mean? So even if a family member is not able to take over your property, at least you can live out your years in your house. So stabilization vouchers are, made to protect the homeless. Not the homeless, the elderly. So that if gentrification comes, they'll be protected. And these are things you need to go to city hall meetings. You need to work to change or enforce policies of rent control, tax relief for long-time residents. Keep your historic programs and buildings open, those libraries, those community pools, the churches, the sports clubs for the kids. Because when you use your neighborhood, people can't come in and gentrify it, because it's already a thriving neighborhood, and call on your communities of faith, that they're there, you're going every week, they're collecting your money, they have a job to do. They're supposed to be serving the community too. So, if you stick together, each one help one, learn something, you can stop, the results of gentrification in your city. And it will just be to refine what you already have, but the people won't be displaced, because that's what's really important. You keep the sense of community, and people don't have to be displaced.
Right, and stop thinking about you being the only one, like Bibbi said, stick together.
Right.
A lot of times you have these neighborhoods and everyone has sold around you, and you're like, well, I may as well too. No. You hold on to what is important to you, because if they can't get you out, you can be an example for someone else who might be just on that cusp of whether or not they want to, give up and be displaced or move out of their home and this, that, and the third. And the thing is like, really truly think about it, because when you become displaced, you go where? Because in the areas that they already have outside of what they created for us are too expensive. And they come into our areas and they're too expensive. And so where does that leave us? Or people who are suffering from gentrification. I really just want to leave this off. Did you have anything else to say?
You know what? As we were talking, having this conversation, I'm just sitting thinking, and I think I am the only one in my neighborhood in, my set development that was born and raised here in Camden.
I'm sure you are.
All these other people.
Sure you are.
I'm the only one. And you know what? I say things with authority. They be like, yeah, we going to do that. I'm like, And I tell them all the time, you lucky I let you live here. I do.
Exactly.
Like.
And this is the ugly face. I'm sorry, I have to say this. This is the ugly face of gentrification, because you live literally on one street.
Right.
Let's call it, Market.
Right.
And when you turn the corner,
exactly,
it is like if you turn the corner and you go under an underpass, it is literally like a night and day. It's like the damn wire. And so that is the ugly face of gentrification, that the people who are under that underpass can't even imagine what's on the other side of just an underpass.
Right.
Literally just an underpass.
But
they can't even imagine what's on that other side.
And it's funny that you said that.
And it's literally like you can walk around the corner, but you are, it's like a wall is built up. It's like a wall is built up. It's like, do not enter. It really is like that. No. Because
because it's about to happen there too. I was there today. No. I was there. Listen.
There because my ex-boyfriend's mom gets a knock on her door. Literally, she lives under the underpass. She gets a knock on her door literally every day.
Listen.
And every day it's peanuts to what
her house will be worth. Right. I hope she doesn't sell. I was there today. And somebody told me because housing is a problem, and I have 5 displaced patients right now. All of them need a place to stay. Some of them were like 2 of them work, 3 of them work, 2 of them don't. They just get SSI, whatever. Somebody told me about a place. It was $400 a month. I literally just left work to go look at it, to see if it was okay. And the guy was like, "Oh,
I can live there too."
So, but it's on the other side. And I went there and he was like, "Oh, I filled them. I had 4 units and they were like rooms." And he filled them. And he said, "It's a rooming house. So not a rooming. It's like above a store, whatever. So it's above the liquor store. The liquor store I'm talking about.
Okay.
So it's above the liquor store. He has rooms up there. They're nice too, but it's $400 a month. He said they're all full. He said, but I have a studio. He said the studio is from here to here. He was showing me how big it is. He said, I can't show it to you right now because the person literally just moved out today. It's a mess. I got to clean it out. It's $800 a month. He told me where it was. And I went. So as I was going there from the liquor store, I'm looking around like, okay, they done fixed the street. Okay, this house is painted. Okay, I was like, they about to come right over here. There, and I was like, oh my gosh, because I rarely go over that way anyway. But I was there and I was like, okay, this is about to be feeding right under the underpass and beyond. They really are.
What are the people who live in that area going to do? And so the people who live there now are probably looking like, oh, they fixing it up because they don't know what's to come.
Right.
They probably just think, oh, we getting like a little facelift in the neighborhood.
Right. No.
But they don't know what's coming.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't know what's coming. And when you get people who have lived in crime-ridden, poor neighborhoods all of their life, people play off of that and they say, hey, you could move here and it could be a better opportunity for you. You know what I'm saying? You could get out of the crime and the ghetto and et cetera. And it goes all back to really educating yourself, sticking together.
Yes, stick together and educate yourself. Yes.
Right, and knowing what gentrification is. We can definitely beat gentrification. Gentrification doesn't have to happen in our neighborhoods.
It could be used for our benefit. We could use it for our benefit and not theirs. Right. Exactly.
Let's put pride back into community.
Exactly. Panther pride. They didn't knock my damn stuff down. Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, I had a moment of silence.
Yes, for the Camden High School.
Still standing. But in any event, just to wrap this up, we hope that you have just got some tools that you can use to educate yourself on what gentrification is. Just like we said, stick together, learn as much as you can about your neighborhood, and remember that we are strong when we're apart, but we are a force when we are together.
That's right.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and get on out of here for the week. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Remember always that you can follow us on all social media platform sites. We are at We Did That Shit on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Remember, y'all, it's one word, We Did That Shit. If you are living in a gentrified area, as the bee said, any of those zip codes that she spoke of.
Let me read them again. 90014 in Los Angeles, 20001 in DC, 77003 in Houston, 19123 in Philly, 19146 in Philly, and New York, 11211, 11222, and 11216. We want to hear from you.
Yes, so if you are in any of those areas or any areas that we missed, because remember, those are the top 5 cities that gentrification is taking over. But
Right.
if you are in a smaller area and you just want to tell us about your experience in your neighborhood and what gentrification has done to you, or any way that we could help, please remember that you can always send us an email to wedidthatshit@gmail.com.
Yeah, so we'll be here again the same time next week. Remember that all new episode drops every Monday, and you can find us anywhere where you can listen to your favorite podcast. That's Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Castbox. We're everywhere. So anywhere that you can listen to a podcast, you can surely find We Did That Shit. We'll be here same time next week.
Remember, be happy. Do that shit. I love you, Maya.
Love you too.